Welcome back. It's been a troubled morning for the bulls once again, but right now we're going to focus on the IT sector. Industry body NASSCOM has said that Indian IT companies will weather the slowdown storm. Speaking to our colleague Kritika Saxena, NASSCOM chairman Keshav Murugesh says that there has been no impact of the slowdown on the deal pipeline so far.
I think people are talking a lot about this global recession, which you are, I think, alluding to as well. And we'll have to see how that plays out over the next few months. From a NASSCOM point of view, as well as from an individual company point of view, we are not seeing the kind of impact that you are pointing out at this point in time. So if you look at the results coming out from companies, continues to be positive. If you look at the guidances coming out from companies, continues to be positive. If you look at the visits that we are seeing from clients, which is a good benchmark, very, very positive. Most importantly, CEO speak on the client side is all focused on digital transformation, AI, ML, all the buzzwords that you want to hear. So I will say that even if there is, God forbid, some kind of recession that comes up in the longer term, actually it could benefit our industry.
Okay. Based on the results so far, based on guidance so far, there seems to be an era of caution, even though we haven't seen as much impact on numbers yet. For instance, US-China trade issues, be it Brexit, be it even the kind of job scenario that we are looking at globally. Do you foresee the second half to be slightly volatile versus the first half?
So like we have said before, NASSCOM really doesn't give any guidance for the year as such. But having said that, I think the quality of conversations has moved completely away from discretionary kind of spends to much more what can you do for me. Right, and I think that's the kind of conversation that all of us at NASSCOM and NASSCOM companies want to have with our clients. And at this point in time, I will just say that based on the kind of conversations we are having, the overall focus has moved to skilling, has moved to talent, has moved much more to disruptive new technologies, has moved much more to analytics-based kind of thinking, and has moved to much more outcome-based thinking, which clients want from their vendors or their partners. So again, I must say that at this point in time, I will say that while the world is cautious, it does not mean that the IT industry is being cautious. At this point in time, all we're saying is, we must cut the coat according to the cloth.
I get that, and I completely understand that you don't give guidance at this point. You've collectively taken a decision to not give guidance, but in FY19, you'd managed to come in a little above 9% growth for the full industry. Would you be able to roughly maintain that, or does it, by the initial outlook, purely outlook based, do you believe that may see some kind of contraction in FY20?
Again, very difficult for me to make a call on that for the industry as a whole. But what I will say is that the momentum continues to be positive at this point in time. And just this morning I was reading an article in one of the newspapers which spoke about the BPM companies, and they were growing at double digits. Right? So the reality is, while all this is happening around us, momentum continues to be positive. We'll have to wait to see at the year end what the actual numbers are for the year.
Let's come to the point of jobs, Keshav. There seem to be initial reports suggesting that visa rejections, H1B visa rejections are at an all-time high. So in the case of TCS, for instance, it used to be 5%, it's gone up to about 57%. For Infosys also, it's around 67% of rejections. So based on the initial reports on visa rejections, how negative is that for Indian IT?
Again, I think it's a case of our making a point before the US authorities who focus, who actually deal with these rejections, to explain to them that while 67% of all H1B visas issued come to India, the reality is only 2.6% of that actually go to the top 7 Indian IT companies. The rest really are going to international companies who are sourcing talent from India. The reality is therefore that as long as rejections continue to rise, it only will affect the competitiveness of US companies at this point in time.
But that is something that you have seen this time, right?
No, but I think what we've done is with some of the Indian companies we've seen that, and therefore what we have done from a NASSCOM point of view is to actually land up in Washington DC, interact with the powers that be there, explain to them that the benefits and the advantages that India has to offer and how important this talent is in the future success of the US and US business itself. And I think, they are getting it. They are able to understand that Indian
They're receptive
companies
about it.
and international companies operating from India need to have the same level field.
Okay, Keshav Murugesh, President, Chairman NASSCOM, beg your pardon, talking to my colleague Kritika Saxena on the outlook, and he seems pretty confident. A, he doesn't believe that there is a recession on the horizon, there is a big slowdown, dip coming in demand, and B, even if there was one, as he pointed out, at the margin it may actually do some good for IT companies, according to him. 86 points lower on the Nifty